Good morning and welcome to Morning Movie News, where today is a pretty exciting day for Beyond the Trailer, and I'm so excited to share it with you. What's happening? Well, tonight is my first ever live stream on Twitch. What are we gonna do? We're gonna watch Black Panther, which is now available for digital download. So be sure to purchase a copy of the movie before 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, when you can tune in live on Twitch and watch with me. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the movie's about 2.5 hours. So half an hour later at 10 p.m., we're gonna have a Q&A and talk about the movie. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So the links down below are all there for where you can find the streams. And again, be sure to pick up the copy of the movie so you can join in. And if you can't join in, don't worry about it. Both videos will be up on my Twitch channel for 60 days. And this is a preview of the channel before it launches in full on May 14th, which is this coming Monday. Details coming soon. But let's just say if you like morning movie news, you might want to mosey over there and start following me. As for subscriptions, those should be available shortly, and I'll let you know when they are. Still figuring out the platform. The regular Beyond the Trailer YouTube channel, by the way, will stay exactly the same. All right, very excited. So again, links down below. I hope that you will be joining me. I bought the movie myself this morning and had some fun Wakanda tourism ads on it. I thought that was cute. And a nice little behind the scenes video. Nothing new, although I did catch a glimpse of Randall Park for Ant-Man and the Wasp. But of course, you're buying it for the movie, which is spectacular. All right, so let's get to today's 3 stories and, of course, viewer question. So the first story is this potential Comcast upset of the Disney-Fox deal. A number of you are asking me about this because it's alarming. And I think that's something that Comcast should consider. Do they really want to be hated by so many Marvel fans if they keep Marvel from consolidating its characters by getting the X-Men and the Fantastic Four? I think Comcast is like, you'll get over it. All right, so Comcast's position is that they're actually doing something nice, right? So they are saying, we can't allow Disney to have an entertainment monopoly. It's just not fair. And this is also the only way that we can compete in an expanding marketplace. Although I have to say that's some pretty dark shade to throw on NBC Universal, which of course Comcast already owns, right? They're like, we can't compete with just NBC Universal. Once Disney and Fox merge, they're gonna blow us out of the water. And as I said before, Universal is often the only studio that actually can compete with Disney, but they don't have the volume. They have, let's see, they have the Jurassic Park, or now World franchise. They have the Fast and Furious, and they have Illumination Entertainment. Right now, really just the Despicable Me related movies. That's pretty darn good, but they would be probably blown out of the water. So the idea is that if the government approves the AT&T Time Warner merger, and that decision is expected in June, so this next month, then Comcast is going to try and make a bid that's so attractive that Fox's shareholders have no choice but to accept it over the Disney bid. Now, the reason that Fox went with Disney in the first place, well, I think there's an ulterior motive, which we'll get to in a moment. But the public reasoning was that they felt that other companies, namely Comcast, would have too many hurdles for government approval, and that since Disney was in the same industry, that would be approved. Although I still think that considering how many jobs would be lost because of they would be duplicate jobs. Because some of you said, well, when Disney acquired Marvel and Lucasfilm and Pixar, jobs weren't lost there, but you know, Disney only needs so many people working in publicity and distribution, etc. So there would be a number of jobs. I think the number is like 10,000 or something. It would be a lot of people out of work. And it would be a bit of a monopoly within an industry. So I don't think the Disney-Fox deal is such a clear route to approval, even as is. But anyway, if the AT&T and Time Warner deal is approved, Comcast wants to get back in the mix with an all-cash bid. That means they would pay Fox shareholders for their stock, whereas I believe Disney just wants to give you shares of their newly expanded company, right? So you would become a Disney Fox shareholder. And it would be the Comcast deal would be worth $60 billion versus the $52 billion that Disney is said to be, well, paying. They're not going to actually pay it. And so Comcast hopes that this is just too sweet and immediate an offer. You know, you cash out right away for not just the Fox board, but also all the shareholders. Now, Rupert Murdoch has 40% voting power because of his stock stock that he holds. And he really wants it to be paid in stock because his argument is that it's non-taxable. And so it would be income that not only he, but all of his, so he's really kind of trying to float out that he's doing this for his shareholders, that they would get an increased value of stock, but if they didn't cash out, if it just remained stock, because you can only sell your stock, but that would therefore not be taxable. But I believe that Rupert Murdoch does not want his sons working for Comcast, NBC Universal. He wants his sons part of the Disney empire. And I truly believe that's one of the reasons that he went with Disney. And I think the government should also look into that, because you can't make decisions about people's jobs and money for shareholders because, you want your sons to have a nice job. They can apply to Disney like anyone else. Well, not like anyone else. They're still Murdochs. And I have to say, they've only done a moderate job running the divisions that they have as of now. So maybe maybe this does need to be part of the deal. So anyway, that's the first story of the day. And I'm curious, would you hate Comcast if that happened? Or do you understand where they're coming from? And just how upset would you be if this Disney deal did not go through? And should Rupert Murdoch be able to push it through because he wants to ensure his son's futures? All right, so for the second story of the day, while Disney might be sweating it out, what's going to happen with Fox, they are making impressive inroads into another area, and that's video games. As many of you also tweeted me yesterday, today launches a special promotion within the Fortnite video game, and that is that Thanos is going to appear. Now, Fortnite is probably the only thing right now is popular as Avengers Infinity War. So it is fitting that they would join together. It first came on my radar when late one night I saw Ninja and Drake both trending on Twitter. And I was like, what the heck? Who's this Ninja? And why is Drake trending? And I clicked on both of them and discovered over on Twitch, in fact, they were both playing Fortnite together. Hugely popular game, and in fact it was the Russo brothers' idea because they're Fortnite players. Those guys are so plugged into pop culture. They're as on the ball pop culture wise as Peter Parker is. As I've said before, they construct their films in that way. I think that they came up with the great action sequences in Civil War because they know that Steven Soderbergh story of fast forwarding to action sequences, and I think they were brilliant to construct Infinity War as being so spoiler heavy, so it became probably the most front-loaded movie in history. That's a success. Sometimes a movie's front-loaded because nobody goes to see it after the first weekend. But anyway, the Russo brothers were like, hey, they were playing Fortnite. They say, maybe this is just a story they concocted for publicity purposes. But anyway, the legend goes that they played Fortnite while they were editing Avengers Infinity War, and they're like, wouldn't it be cool if our characters were part of the game? Well, just Thanos is. And so what happens is when you have a round of 100 people on the board, and last person standing wins. Well, one of the items on the map during that gameplay is now going to be the Infinity Gauntlet. And if you find it, you transform into Thanos and you play with all his powers from the gauntlet. I want to know, can you snap your fingers and wipe out half the board? That would be hilarious. Now, DC has dominated the video game space, much like animation, but Marvel is trying to head into those areas themselves, finally. I mean, they've been in there a little bit with TV animation, the Disney XD efforts. There's the Big Hero 6 movie, of course, from Disney Animation, but nothing on the level of what DC and Warner Brothers do when it comes to animation. But we'll see how also the Sony Miles Morales animated movie does. That looks very, very good. It's not Marvel outright, but it's Marvel adjacent, right? And then also now in video games. And this is great for Fortnite, by the way, because if this does well, then they can do other entertainment-based promotions with having characters appear. Like, think of Game of Thrones. Maybe they could have a couple dragons that you could get. That would be so awesome. All right, so that's the second story of the day. Now, the third story of the day, I'm so happy to be able to report to you that Leica is still alive. This is the stop-motion animation company founded by Travis Knight with his dad's money from Nike, and it kind of makes him like Megan Ellison and David Ellison, the two Ellison siblings who got so much money from their father, who has the company Oracle, and made a significant Hollywood inroads themselves. But, Leica has floundered, has not been able to win an animation Oscar, and Travis Knight actually, took a break from the company, right? It's not you, Leica, it's me. And he went to Paramount to direct their live-action Bumblebee movie with Haley Steinfeld. It sounds like it's gonna flop, but let's wait till we see a trailer. But anyway, I thought that Leica had potentially folded, but nope, still making a movie. And this one sounds like potentially not only maybe their best one yet, but their most commercial. Now, since Travis Knight's over making Bumblebee, he can't direct the movie as he usually does. So that's gonna fall to Paranorman's co-director, Chris Butler. And speaking of Megan Ellison, they've moved Leica distribution from Focus Features. They're like, you can't win us an Oscar, get out of here. And they've gone to her Annapurna Pictures. And she does have a very good awards Rolodex. She got Phantom Thread so many nominations, not wins, but she's not that much of a miracle worker. That movie was so bad. And I stand by it, and you'll see that it didn't get a single award. So, all right, so anyway, I think that she is probably a very good person to have in their corner to get them. Again, they really need to win an Oscar. I don't know if they're going to win it for this one because, again, it's so commercial, but she really needs to get them on the board. But they're very good at having strong messages and an artistic quality to their films, so who knows? So what's this about? Well, it's called Missing Link. This is so good. And Hugh Jackman will voice Sir Lionel Frost, an explorer who's not being taken seriously by the Explorers Society. Think Michael J. Fox's character in Atlantis for Disney animation. Remember that movie? But anyway, he decides to go to the Pacific Northwest to find the missing link between man and animal, and that's Mr. Link, voiced by Zach Galifianakis, who's a cool dude, of course, and he's actually quite lonely. So when Hugh Jackman's Sir Lionel Frost finds him, Zach Galifianakis is like, "This is awesome! I love hanging out with you. You know what? Let's go find Shangri-La, where my rumored relatives live." And then to help them, they find Zoe Saldana's her career. I have to say, when you can see Zoe Saldana outright with no makeup or being a voice actor, nobody will pay to see her. But she actually has a pretty sweet career still, on the fringe, doing like things where she's totally made up, where she's blue or green or motion capture or voice work. So good for Zoe Saldana. But anyway, she's going to voice an adventurer named Adelina Fortnite, and she has the only known map to Shangri-La. So they go on an awesome adventure facing not just natural peril, but also mustache-twirling villains, and to find Shangri-La. This sounds very good to me. Very, very good. Not only because I think that Leica has some beautiful artistic instincts. I think that every time I watch a Leica movie, I'm like, wow, that's so beautiful, and I can't believe you thought of that. That's just breathtaking. I really do feel it comes close to being actual art. Like Donald Glover's new music video, This Is America. Leica and Donald Glover. I think they're actually a pretty fitting pair. But anyway, I also think of this voice cast and this story, it's the most commercial film they've produced yet. And this will hit theaters in spring 2019. And I, for one, am very excited. All right, so let's get to the viewer question, and this is from Ryan Lannister. And Ryan says, at Grace Randolph, I have a question I've been wondering about recently. Are actors' salaries lessened when a movie is rated R since they attract a smaller audience? The movie does. Are the movie budgets also changed based on the potential rating of a movie? Thanks for the reply. Great question, Ryan. I think that it's not so much the rating of a movie specifically that affects the budget and therefore the salaries of the actors, but I think it's more how much the movie can potentially make at the box office. For instance, the first Deadpool was considered a risk, so they didn't spend too much money on it. But I'm sure Ryan Reynolds got paid pretty well, and I'm sure he also got a nice bonus for how well the film performed. And then with Deadpool 2, even though that's still rated R, Fox, of course, realizes that it's going to reach quite a large audience. So they spent more money on it budget-wise, and therefore also the salary is bigger. The bigger the budget, obviously, the bigger the salaries. And then also, here's some other examples of R-rated films that have big budgets and therefore big paydays, because they do attract a big audience even though they're rated R. Logan, It Chapter 2, It was made for very little money, but the sequel, of course, they should have signed their adult cast beforehand because, well, they're not getting huge name talent, so they won't have to pay them a huge amount of money, but they will have to pay them a considerable amount of money. Let's put it that way. Then there's the Matrix sequels, right? The Hangover sequels, The Revenant even, because Leonardo DiCaprio ain't gonna work cheap. He's Leonardo freaking DiCaprio. And speaking of that, the Tarantino movies, Leonardo DiCaprio is not going to lessen his paychecks, particularly for a lead role. So he's going to get paid handsomely for the upcoming Once Upon a Time in Hollywood film from Tarantino, and I bet you Brad Pitt will as well. And probably even Margot Robbie, who's going to round out that cast. So it's not the rating of the movie so much. You have to look at the entire package and what the likelihood is of it doing well with an audience, and also awards fair. Is it going to be competitive in that market as well? And just also, again, how much value does the actor bring to the table? If you have a small R-rated movie, but the only thing, like let's say The Revenant, that's the only thing that's going to get people to go and see that movie is Leonardo DiCaprio starring in it, then he's still worth a considerable amount of money. And in fact, The Revenant made more money than you would ever think, over $100 million, because it did star Leonardo DiCaprio, and was, of course, the film that finally got him that damn Oscar. So that's the way it works. It's not so much much the rating, but just you have to think about it in terms of the overall package. But they don't make a lot of R-rated movies for that reason. And, you know, rarely do they do particularly well, and they rarely have huge stars, and they rarely do have big paydays. But those are examples of situations where they do. So again, I wouldn't think about the rating. I would think about it as the whole package, and that's how the studio decides what the budget's going to be, and then that's how they decide how to allocate the salaries. So, but great question, Ryan. Great way to think about it. And so thank you everybody for tuning in. Please write down below, I think, today's top 3 stories, Ryan's viewer question, what do you think actors are worth and how much should they be paid? I'm a big believer in back-end pay. You know, if you can bring in an audience, let's see, and then you can have a part of that money. I think that more studios should force that, because I think that sometimes they get gypped and they pay too much for an actor. You know, the actor's actually not worth that. So write those thoughts down below. Anything you'd like to see covered tomorrow, any questions that you might have, and of course, don't forget to check out those links down below to my my new Twitch channel, and I hope you'll be joining me tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to watch Black Panther. All right, thanks so much, and thanks for tuning in, and I guess, of course, you can watch some more videos right now. I forget which catchphrase is at the end. Oh, sorry, bye.